So we're going to start hopefully a series.
Yeah, because it definitely will take longer than...
It will take more than one episode.
Yeah.
On fast food. QSR. How to succeed in it. Leadership. All that good stuff. So fire away.
So I think that the first topic we're going to talk about is recruitment and retention.
Yeah.
And your ideas, my ideas, where we think improvements can be made, where we think the industry is failing.
Mm-hmm.
I made some notes, but I wrote one of the things that you had in your notes had shared with me and really struck a chord with me. Probably the first time you have touched on this before just in conversations we've had where you said, that's so wrong. That's not the way to do it. But it's kind of been the industry's default recruiting. And you said industry's default recruiting pitch is, and I took this out of your notes, quote, flexible hours, growth opportunities, competitive pay.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong pitch altogether.
Wrong pitch altogether.
So why don't you talk a little bit about why it's the wrong pitch and what the right pitch should be. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of ideas I had for recruiting and retention.
Do you know the gentleman who just resigned from the Trump administration about the national counterterrorism? His name's Joe Kent.
Yeah.
So we were listening to a podcast he was on yesterday, my wife and I, and one thing that he opined that the government realized after Vietnam is, okay, the draft really didn't work.
Yeah.
We can't have a draft again. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a professional military. Mm-hmm. And then we've been the biggest and baddest ever since because we have special forces and all of these things. And it just, essentially it's a media campaign for recruiting in terms of saying, no, like you're professional when you join the military mm-hmm. now. And there are all these different gradations and titles that you can achieve once you're there. That's the approach that QSR needs to have.
Yeah.
Stop trying to attract bottom of the barrel, because if nothing changes, and more of the same is going to lead to more of the same. The high performers, the people that are going to
call them the A, B's, and C's.
Yes, the A players that you're trying to recruit, that does not attract them.
Mm-hmm.
That does not attract them. Competitive pay, yes, you do have bills to pay and all those things.
But can I get competitive pay in any industry?
They can get competitive pay in any industry. What they need to be selling to the A players is fast ascension and autonomy, not flexible scheduling. Right? And what was the other one?
Competitive pay, flexible hours, and opportunity.
Yeah, no, it's for A players, they want to have autonomy and they want a clear path to ascension in terms of a scoreboard. Okay, in order to get here, I need to do this. Mm-hmm. Got it. Check. And one thing that I understood why our coach at Grand Valley said this, but in this industry, I don't think it really applies as much as people might think. What he always told us is process over product. So we would come in the day after whipping the shit out of Tiffin University, 70-0, and we would leave that meeting the next day feeling like we just lost. Mm-hmm. But Coach Mitchell, that is, he was so stubborn, objectively, not pejoratively, about the process more than the product. And in this industry, at least in this concept that I'm in right now, I think it's more about the product than the process. Because we are judged on our speed of service. We are judged on the amount of complaints that we get. We are judged on the product quality and all of those things. And to me, that just screams more about the product and the process, which plays right into a player's game. It's like, okay, yeah. I know you're grading me on X. I can get there. Don't tell me how to do it or micromanage me on the way that I'm doing it. Just get the hell out of my way and I'll get you what you want. You want more profit? Done. You want faster speeds? Done. You want lower cost of goods? Done. Like, just get out of the freaking way. Give me autonomy. Give me a clear ascension plan, and then just stay the hell out of my way. Because high performers, they don't need to be micromanaged. And I made a post today on LinkedIn, which was MAGA, make autonomy great again. I think that's one of, if not the thing, if you had to narrow it down to one word, I think autonomy would fix your operations, it would fix your recruitment, and it would fix your retention. And so autonomy, ascension, and then if we can think of another A word, then that would be the way to do it, to recruit A players.
Accessibility.
I
don't know. Yeah. We'll come up with it. So the autonomy thing, I'm a firm believer in autonomy. I mean, that is that I would say these are your guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'd like to see at this store happen. And you and I had these conversations before. But when a franchisee, franchisor, whatever, gets involved in the, I want this store's food cost to come down 2%. How you get there, I don't care, but it's got to come down 2%, as long as it's legal and ethical, I had more success doing that than I would say, I want your food cost to come down by 2%, and you're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F. I had far more success just by saying, this is the final goal we need to reach for this store. Labor has to be this for your store to stay profitable, and by being profitable, I mean, so we can hire people. So your labor has to be this. How you deploy it, how you get to that number, I don't really care, as long as it's ethical and legal. And I had more success doing just setting the final goal than I did by, this is the final goal and this is the process you must follow to get to that final goal.
Yeah. I mean, QSR, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it might have just as high of a turnover rate as the financial industry. And in order to fix that, I think you have to do what Joe Kent was saying the government did after Vietnam and say, okay, no, we have to be more professional about this. Because again, we're still marketing towards the bottom of the barrel in terms of recruiting. And start your recruitment towards A players. Start recruiting A players, get serious. Become a professional outfit, right? Instead of trying to compel people off the street to be professionals, right? Because the job isn't hard. Getting people to do the job is hard if you're not a leader. And the fact is, most people aren't, which is why we're in this industry, which is why we're having these freaking conversations.
So the government then started, after Vietnam.
So I was
going to say they started marketing the warrior mentality.
Yes.
I have a nephew that served. He has 2 or 3 Purple Hearts. He has a Silver Star, presented him by the Secretary of Defense at the time. Served in Iraq, was injured multiple times, but he was very much had that warrior mentality from 6 or 7 years old. And it was kind of like, we knew as his family, he was going to join. At 5 or 6 years old, we just knew he was going to join. And he, he, up until then, that was his goal. He studied martial arts. Everything was working toward that goal, and he ate up those commercials. marketing to the warrior mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people that he served with that I met all had that.
Mm-hmm.
They all had that grit and that warrior mentality. That professional, and then the professionalism, I think that was trained.
Yeah. So we're just, it's got to change. It's got to be a whole campaign, because if you want to attract the A players, then your marketing has to be as such. Right now, again, and I think this is part and parcel of one of the axioms that I talk about, which is customer first, but employee more first.
Right.
If you are a franchisee, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a franchisee, you never have been, and you have a franchise, so it's a known brand.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to come to Taco Bell, to Hardee's, to Subways, because it's a brand. So I don't know if we need to be marketing as much for the customer as we do toward the people serving them. Right? That's my opinion. Don't know if it's wrong.
I think it's a two-pronged approach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are latest numbers. Let me see if I wrote it down. 200 to 215,000 QSR restaurants in the United States.
Okay.
So, not only is your competition another QSR restaurant as a franchisee, your competition is also within your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
So if I own this unit here and someone else owns a unit 5 miles away, same brand,
Mm-hmm.
they're still my competition.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be the two-prong approach. You have to market to the customer to say, hey, my sandwich is better than that guy's sandwich. My option or my product is better than this person's product. But I believe strongly in the two-prong approach, and you're not seeing the marketing other than, oh, here's a window cling to hang on your door, print this sign out and post it on your door. We're hiring now. Every single place that you go into, not just QSR, gas station, grocery store, retail establishment has the hiring now sign up,
I don't know if maybe you would know. I don't know how effective the clings are, but I know that right now they are not sending the right message. Be happy at work.
Right.
An A player does not give a shit about that.
We have a
Be happy at work.
We have
what is happiness?
We have a fun environment.
Yeah.
Be happy at work. We have a fun environment. We have the, flexible hours. And what was the other thing you had said that I wrote down? That's the standard kind of thing. Competitive pay. Those are so generic that I can go anywhere for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start, one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, and it was something that the brand that I was in did maybe 20 years ago. But if you tell me right now that you're in the Taco Bell brand
Mm-hmm.
in QSR, but if I could tell you, hey, Hunter, I have a path for you to become a Taco Bell franchisee in 4 years or 3 years or 2 years. And we have a plan. There are 5 million QSR employees in the United States. I think to attract people, if we can, of those 5 million, the percentage rates of turning an employee into a franchisee, and I think this is great for franchisors too, is less than 0.5%. Statistically right now.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you creating a demand with that approach, or are you trying to fill one? Because it's always easier to fill a demand than create one.
I think it's both. I mean, we are filling, the biggest, if you look at the biggest problem in QSR is retention and recruitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest problem also in QSR franchisor level is retention and recruitment of franchisees, getting great A-player franchisees into the system.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can even turn, a larger percent of those employees into franchisees, your franchise will grow because you have invested people who know the system. They're already A players. You've identified them at the store level.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can come up with some sort of program that, I think right now the biggest problem with franchisors is they're constantly looking for outside capital at the expense of the brand. And by that, I mean, oh, you've got X amount of thousands. Great. Come on, you can own a store. And that person that has the X amount of thousands isn't invested in that store. They're not invested in the brand. They're not invested in leadership. They're invested in, here's my capital. What's my ROI? But if I can have a program that, and I think this is part of attracting A players, you too, if you come and work for us, we will have a program that involves, showing the brand. We have a mentorship program with other franchisees. We have a clear path from A to Z of you owning your own franchise in X amount of years. We will provide funding and capital and those kind of things for you to become a franchise. I mean, probably the best brand right now that does this, and I do have some issues with them, but the best brand that does this is Chick-fil-A. Turning almost every single Chick-fil-A franchisee was a store employee at one time or another. But if you look at other brands, very few of them were store employees. Very few of them.
You know what's really interesting?
What?
Is that in all of the 11 companies that Jim Collins talks about who made the jump from good to great, they had dogs that didn't bark. What does that mean? He talked about it in one of the Sherlock Holmes novels, being that's what gave away the suspect in this murder mystery case, is there was a dog outside of the house that the murder suspect would come in and out of at night, but the dog never barked. Why? Because the dog knew that person. And it's those people that will be the most successful, to your point, is having dogs that don't bark. People that are familiar with this crew member who's now turned into a shift lead, who's now the manager, who's now the DM, who's now owned that store, right? Dogs that don't bark. In fact, that's really interesting because one of my shift leads, this was a one-on-one that I had back in August. He's a 21-year-old kid. I said, where do you want to be in 5 years? What's your dream? He said, own this store. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and so you're marketing to your A players that here is an opportunity for you to own this store, to own a store. What's the biggest thing that A players value? You've talked about autonomy. Right. Now you're getting a franchisee who understands and values what autonomy means. You're getting a franchisee that understands and knows how to identify leaders. You're getting a franchisee that knows how to lead leaders. And you're getting a franchisee that's invested not just in capital, but in life.
Yeah, it's
and so that, I think that is a great, for lack of a better word, carrot to attract more A players into the QSR industry.
And both from external hires, but then also internally developing them.
Exactly.
Because if you take somebody, and that's the way that I manage, and anybody who works for me knows that I don't micromanage them, and that's just what that's what I told my AGM when I had to go TMU at another location. I just said, hey, make me irrelevant.
Mhm.
That's what
Right.
that's what I told him. Make me irrelevant.
Right.
And then that's all I said. I didn't say anything else. And then he just figured it out. And he did great. So it's not like, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. Like we know what good looks like. Why? Because we have a scoreboard called metrics. Like just make those numbers green.
Yeah. But
and you'll be great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The generic flexible hours, competitive pay.
Be happy at work.
Happy.
Oh my God.
I can, that I can go anywhere for that.
Be happy at work.
Flexible hours, competitive pay. If I said to you, hey, Hunter, I've got a job for you somewhere, and they offer flexible hours and competitive pay, and I said, guess where it is? You would rattle off 15 things. Oh, it's a gas station. It's, it's a grocery store. Oh, it's, a full service restaurant. Oh, it's a QSR restaurant. Oh, it's, whatever. But if I said to you, Hunter, I can offer you an opportunity where in 4 years, 5 years, whatever, it needs to be fleshed out a little more what the path is to ownership. I can offer you an opportunity to own your own company. You will make what you put into it. So, I mean, that's when and
you won't be micromanaged. And then you tell me, and then I ask you, okay, what are you talking about? And you'd be like, actually, it's a Taco Bell. What? So like all of a sudden, it's called a pattern interruption. So now all of a sudden, I mean, that's what marketing is, and it's like you've totally interrupted somebody's pattern. I mean, that's the whole thing. You've gotten their attention. That's why not Billy Blanks, who is the guy who did OxyClean?
Oh, Billy, yeah.
Something or another, but one of those grabbers, he would take a bite out of a meatball sandwich, and all of a sudden, boom, on a white shirt, boom, we got your attention now. It throws it in, now it's gone. Right? I say all that to say, like, that's an attention grabber, pattern interruption. Wait a minute. Fast ascension, autonomy, own my own business, and it's a fast food joint? Keep talking, right? And I think that's kind of what
yeah, and depending on the brand, I don't know, every brand is different, but the average franchisee, I made a good living. Put my kids through private schools. I made a great living.
I can tell you that my wife and I are very comfortable right now, and I am a restaurant general manager.
Right.
That is my title. That is my title.
But,
right?
But if I could go to you and say, hey, and, I would say a big percentage of people especially in QSR, have no idea what they want to be when they grow up. And if I can say, hey, you can own your own business. And here's the path to do it. You're going to come in, you're going to learn everything you need to learn about being a crew member. And then once we see that you're an A player, and what was the thing we said we were talking about last week, that you went all in? Once we see that, we're going to partner you with another person, partner you with a current franchisee. And he's going to meet with you, or she's going to meet with you once a week for 2 hours and talk about the business side of owning a QSR. We're not teaching the business side to our employees. And they're going to meet with you, partner with you. And then you go to the next step, which may be you're going to become, a GM or an RGM or something. And then the next step after that is we're going to sit down with you and we're going to talk to you about finances. We're going to talk to you about the 5 different programs that we have to invest in you, me, a franchisor, to invest in you to own your own business. Why does it benefit me as, the CEO of Taco Bell or the CEO of Yum or whatever? Because I am getting people to own my brand that are committed to my brand. And I don't know what all the details are. You'd have to work that out. But we're going to provide some capital to you. We may provide you if the franchise fee is $10,000, we'll waive the fee. If the build out costs for your location are whatever, $250,000 to $1 million, we'll loan that to you at 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pay it back to us over time. We'll take an ownership stake into your company until that's paid back. There's a lot of different vehicles or ways to work that out.
The interesting thing about what makes it such a unique selling proposition for either an external hire being an A player or developing an internal one is that it truly is on your own timeline.
Right.
If you want to be a manager and you're coming in as a food champion or a service champion at my store, it's always on your timetable. The faster you learn the menu,
right,
the better you're going to be in the line. And then when you have the menu down the line, and then you know where everything is on the POS, and then you're not a bottleneck ever. Well, then we need to start talking about team trainer. Mm-hmm. And then when I can see that you can develop some other people, then now we're talking about becoming a manager. It's so much on your own timeline. But it's ridiculous.
It's on your own timeline and your own work ethic. It's what you put into it, and I think that's the problem too with the A player. The A, is that if they can see a benefit, they'll put in the effort. Mm-hmm. And also, it's going to motivate the other people that work with them. A players hate to be scheduled with C and B employees. You know that.
Yes and no. They hate to be scheduled. I think they don't like B and C players who want to stay B and C players.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. But if they're anything like me, they salivate over the B and C players who want to be more.
No. Yeah. But
But yeah, if they're, you are right. The problem is when that A player does not have the autonomy to get rid of those B and C players.
Right, exactly.
Because HR comes in to protect the company. That's what's going to piss an A player off. It's like, okay.
But if I'm an A player and I know, and I'm just speaking at a team member level, but if I'm an A player and I know that I have, I'm working towards this goal. In 4 years, I'm owning my own store. Mm-hmm. So I can tolerate you for a little bit because I know I'm going to have my own store. I think that, to me, that's a humongous selling point, and it's very targeted. It's not the generic competitive pay and, we'll work around your schedule and those kind of things. And I've been thinking about that a lot. It's how can we
develop a franchise university?
How can we turn the 5 million people that are currently employed in the QSR industry and the 200 to 215,000 restaurants that are labeled QSR, mm-hmm. How can we turn more of those into owners? Because that benefits my brand. So if I owned Subway, if I was...
It goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, David. It's the messaging.
Right.
It's the messaging. It's the wrong message. What you said to start off this episode, It's the wrong message.
Right. But hey,
that's the wrong message.
If I go to you and say, I want you to come work for me, Hunter, mm-hmm. and in 4 years, you can own your own business, you're going to tell me more. Mm-hmm. If I come to you and say, Hunter, I want you to come work for me, I'll pay you competitively and work around your schedule. You're not going to ask me to tell you more.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not even going to listen to you. I think, do you think that there might be some investigation in terms of, because we might be assuming what it is that that the people actually want. Do they actually want to own their own business?
Let's say you don't want to own your own business. Here's another message I've been thinking about that we used to do, especially we, employ a lot of the college kids, right?
Mhm.
That demographic is a big part of the QSR industry, correct? But if I went to you and I said to you, hey, I can help you, or I can show you a way where you can come and work for me for the 4 years that you're in school. Just for those 4 years. That's it. Just for those 4 years. And I can show you how to become a millionaire. In those, you would that say, tell me more? So
I know that some of the kids that I work with, that work for me, I mean, they love the almighty dollar. They love it. And so you hire somebody in at $13.72, which is the minimum wage. What if how would you like to be making $18 an hour?
Right.
How soon can I make that?
So the average pay right now in the QSR industry in the United States is $15.74. Taking all the positions in that, this state, that state, those kind of things. Average QSR employee makes $15.74. So if you come and work for me for 4 years while you're in school, going to college, studying whatever you're studying, pre-med, whatever you're studying, biology, chemistry, whatever. You come and work for me for 4 years, and I can show you a path to take those 4 years and turn it into $1 million. You want me to tell you more? So average college student going to school full time, what's that, 15 credit hours? So while you're in school, you're probably, to have a good balance of work and school, probably going to work for me maybe 20, 25 hours a week while you're in class, while you're enrolled. And in the summer, work for me 35 to 40 hours a week. So that gets you, if I take that out, average, say 1574, you're going to make about 22,000 a year. Of that money, put aside $6,000 a year into a money market, maybe with a yield of like 7.5%. Do that just for the 4 years you work for me. So that still gives you 22, 6, it's still giving you enough money to go to school. For those 4 years that you're working for me, by the time you are 60, without putting another dime into that, you'll have $1 million. Now I'm not counting in all those other years that you only worked for me 4 years and then you went on into into your career field, medicine, whatever you were studying. If you do that, come and work for me for 4 years, put $6,500 a year away into a money market yielding 7.5% to 8%, you'll have $1 million by the time you're 60. Now, if you come and work for me for 4 years, do that 6,500, but then you go out into your career field, and let's say you only add another $200 a month into that account out of money that you're earning, you'll be a millionaire in your late 40s.
I think that's great. I don't think that message is going to land for an internal promote.
No, but when I
because it just goes into, as you and I have talked about, one of the biggest problems with society right now, my opinion, instant gratification. Yeah. 40, you're talking to an 18-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid, they're 40, not that's
40 is way too far away.
They don't care. The thing that you were talking more about, even 4 years is kind of flirting with a little bit too much in the future, but I think that message is way better.
What about,
What if I told you you could own the store in 4 years?
Yeah.
Right.
what if we say, we talk about benefits a lot. We do not offer QSR employees at, the non-management level QSR employee. It's a non-benefited position.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. One of the things that, so what if we say we have I don't know if you'd call it a 401k or an IRA or something, that every single employee that walks into my business can buy into this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you only work for me 4 years in college. Well, you're in college, 65, 12, 4, 36. So that's what, $40,000, 7 to 8%. When you leave my employ, and you've only been with me 4 years, but we're holding back out of your paycheck, what would that be? $40 a week? 40, So you never see it, so you don't really miss it. And I'm setting that aside for you so that when you leave me after 4 years, I hand you a check for $40,000.
Great for some people, not
for
the majority of the people that we work with.
As we say, we're throwing spitballs against the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
It's
a great idea.
I'm thinking of a different messaging program than what we have now that helps with recruitment. So 4 years, $40,000 is not as long as, I can show you a path on how to turn this into $1 million. I'm just throwing, there's got to be different messaging. But if I go, if I go to work for this brand,
my take on how to start a story off. I've got to get your attention, and if I can introduce the problem even faster, that's even better. So to me, a better message than be happy at work or flexible scheduling is hate being micromanaged.
Right.
Yes, I do. Now, tell me more. Right. If you just had that as a window cling, I think you'd get some big A players. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the effect. You would know better than I as far as the effectiveness of window clings. I don't look into that. I don't look into that data.
I would say the generic window cling that we put up now, hiring, fill out an application at the cash register, or scan this QR code and go online, not very effective.
Right.
But if you put up the attention grabber, do you want to own this store?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scan this QR code.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you want to own a Taco Bell? Do you want to own a Subway? Do you want to own a KFC? Do you want to own a McDonald's? Do you want to own a insert brand here and have the potential to make $100,000 a year? Scan this QR code.
Yep.
They scan that QR code. It takes them to a page that then outlines what we do for our A player employees to help them become franchisees.
Yeah. How to make 100 grand without being micromanaged.
Yeah. And I think
because just full transparency in this concept, if you, with your base salary and you max bonus every single month, you are in that ballpark. Want to make 100,000 without being micromanaged? Click this or scan this QR code. You're gonna attract some A players. Maybe not the window cleans, but you put it in the bag stuffers.
Yeah, bag stuffers. But
you know what I'm saying?
Why not take part of our ad revenue? Because this is the most serious problem that is facing brands today is recruitment. Labor is the number one issue, period, across brands in the QSR industry today. Number one issue. It is.
Labor is leaving when we should be transforming labor into leaders.
Right.
And that isn't happening because the recruiting messaging sucks.
Right. Recruiting is the number one issue. Retention too, but recruiting and retention, let's call that one issue, is the
and it goes back to autonomy though, David.
I agree.
If you want to recruit better people, you give them autonomy. If you want to retain that talent, give them autonomy. Mm-hmm. Just show them what the scoreboard is and then let them go get it.
Right. But also then as a leader, you can't be then afraid to, this is your goal, get it.
Mm-hmm. Go get it.
But you also can't be afraid, on the other hand, to say, you didn't get your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Right.
And I think that's also a problem, is that there is a tendency, because recruiting and retention is such a huge problem,
mm-hmm.
that there is that fear of then getting rid of someone. You know,
that's okay. But, addition by subtraction. If they suck, then get them off the team. It's no different than what I do for the West Michigan Ironmen. We get paid to play the sport that we go play. If somebody isn't cutting it, why would the owner keep them on the roster?
I mean, but that's in any sport, you know, and NFL.
Well, exactly.
NBA,
but exactly, because what we do is a game.
Right.
In QSR, it's a game.
Right.
We have a scoreboard. It's called ideal cost of sales. It's called labor percentage. It's called speed with service. If that person isn't hitting the scoreboard, then get them off the flipping team.
Right. Because, I mean, it's like, you know, butts and seats for the NFL. You know, we're only going to get butts and seats if we have a winning team. We're only going to sell out our stadium if we have a winning team.
And you know how, and it's only going to make our point right now, right here, right now. This is only going to make our point. When a losing team, and that's part of the reason why the Houston Texans took so much flack from the people that are going to be filling the seats. They got so much flack, David, for taking Mario Williams in the 2006 NFL draft over Reggie freaking Bush. That is why part of the reason why they took so much flack is because wait a minute, you took a defensive end instead of Reggie freaking Bush, one of the greatest college football players to ever play. Do you know what he would have done for you from just revenue standpoint on the jersey sales? Not to mention people showing up and filling NRG Stadium to watch this dude play. You took Mario Williams ended up being the better choice because he was one hell of a player. But that goes back to what I was talking about. They had an A player. It's like, why don't you just take that guy who's going to put butts in seats? It's no different than what we do. Wait a minute. Because, I mean, this is clinical, not conceded. I think that you and I are A players. Mm-hmm. I think that you and I are A players. As I'm handing off my store, following your axiom, David, my success is my succession. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be leaving my store here in a couple of weeks, handing it over to somebody that I've empowered to take it over. And I'm going over to a new location, a store that I've been to before. I talked to some of the people there and been and talked with, and they said, Hunter, we are so jacked that you're coming back. It's like Reggie Bush, right? It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I measure success differently than probably some other franchisees, as did my partner. My business partner measured success differently than a lot of other franchisees. It's like, how many people have we elevated?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that's a better measurement of success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, I've talked about this a lot. I go back to it because it was a lesson that I learned from him. When we would sit down, we would sit down probably weekly, and you know, what are our KPIs, David? You know, what's food cost? What's labor? What's this? What's that? You know, and I rattle off the numbers. He always had this as a KPI. How many people have we employed? Mm-hmm. He would constantly ask that. How many people we have employed? How many people have we promoted? That was a KPI for him. He wanted to know how many people were elevated, how many people were employed by him, how many, yeah.
But in this industry, that is the game.
But that's
empowerment and promotion.
Right.
That is the game.
It is the game. But how many brands have that as one of their KPIs?
Right.
None.
Yeah.
There is not one brand that has that as a KPI. We had it as a franchise.
Well, I could argue that Taco Bell has it from the Taco Bell Supreme standpoint. From the Taco Bell Supreme standpoint, there are 4 pillars. One of them is manager complement. Does your store have at least 6 managers?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the right thing, because it's like, okay, Taco Bell says one of its pillars is I have to have 6 people as managers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You guys are all managers.
It does lend itself to promoting people too quickly and promoting the wrong people just to hit a number.
Right.
But that is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not defending them. It's
the right path. I would say it is the right path.
Yeah.
It needs to be fleshed out a little bit.
Because anybody can have the title without being up to the task.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem.
And that's
a whole other problem, is that we do just promote people to get the title who really just want the treasure instead of the task.
And sometimes that's the problem with KPIs in and of themselves, is that we work towards the KPI.
So then what is the KPI that we should be doing then?
Yeah, you still have to have KPIs because you still have to measure.
No, but I want to dig into this a little bit more, because if it's not, because I agree. I think that just having a number like that, okay, you need to have 6 managers in order for you to be considered supreme according to Taco Bell corporate standards. Okay. But again, then you're going to have some really bad hires when you have really bad promotions when you have a number like that. So it's like, okay, so then
so let's qualify it and quantify it, is what you're saying. So we've already put the quantity.
I would say I'm asking to change the KPI entirely. So instead of 6 managers, what is a better KPI to go with that?
How many leaders do you have in your store?
So then that begs the question, well, what's your definition of a leader?
And we can define that. That's part of what we've been doing for the last how many days, how many podcasts and how many before that. How do we define a leader? I use the acronym HIVES. I've told you that a lot of times, but so I think that the franchisor can say, how many leaders do you have in your store? This is our definition of a leader. They have this knowledge.
Because what Taco Bell is asking is, how many managers do you have?
Right.
But we're saying, no. How many leaders do you have?
Right.
So then what's the difference?
And this is the definition for our brand of what a leader is. How many people in your store? Obviously, I'm going to ask my RGM that. My restaurant general manager, because my restaurant general manager should know. He should know his complement. And he should know it better than a DM or a senior DM or anyone else. The ultimate person for any franchise is the manager.
I think it's something to do with what you always used to say when I worked for you, is Mack truck syndrome, which I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, my Zealand location has that. If I die today, Zealand's going to be fine.
The way that a lot of people would understand it, what is your succession plan?
Yeah.
That's the Mack truck syndrome. What's your succession plan? So how many of those people do you have in your store that if you were hit by a Mack truck today, who in your store can be you?
I would say 1.5 at Zealand right now.
So we want, me as the franchisor, I want 3 people in the store that could step into the RGM role. That's the KPI. Not I want 6 managers. Because doing it then I will work towards the KPI. You 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess what? You guys are all. You're a manager. You're a manager. You're a manager. You're a manager. You're a man. there, I hit my KPI.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say I want 3 employees that could tomorrow step into the RGM role, who are they?
Mm-hmm.
You tell me it's this person, and this person. And then I say, okay, where are they at this, do they have this knowledge? Do they have this ability?
Yeah.
Have they written a schedule? Have they made a food order? Have they, whatever, whatever task that you require of your manager. Yes, they do. Okay, great.
Yeah. And I do have to tip my cap to the company that I work for right now, because that is something that they're rolling out this year. My AGM just went through it. It's called the Bench RGM program. They want that in every store.
Mm-hmm.
That's the CEO's vision for the company this year, is to have a Bench RGM in every single store.
That's
great.
Yeah.
That's great. I think there's a little bit of bureaucracy that goes with that, as with all large corporation or all large companies. But I think they're working towards that. I think there is opportunities for people like you and I to have discussions to maybe quantify and define that person
right.
a little bit better. I think that's why we're doing this.
Right. I quantify the leader with the HIVE acronym,
Mm-hmm.
HIVE's acronym, but I think, you can come up with a way to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
What is our definition? What is this brand's definition of a leader in the store manager, the person that controls the store's position?
Mm-hmm.
It's A, B, C, D, E.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our definition of a leader is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to, and what knowledge do they have to have? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That, you can come up with that.
Yeah.
But if you just say, I want 6 managers in a store, I'll work to that KPI.
Yeah. It's very myopic. And I think what makes metrics good. There's a scoreboard is also what makes them bad. It can make you very myopic.
And metrics are important because they are a scoreboard, even, like you talked about, you playing for the Ironman, there's a scoreboard up there. And I asked you after a game, I say, what was the score, Hunter?
Yeah.
Every time you call me and say, hey, I just finished a game, first question I ask you, did you win?
Yeah. What's the score?
And what was the score?
And the score for us is green.
Yeah.
Right?
So metrics are important. I'm not discounting metrics.
Mm-hmm.
The problem sometimes, though, with metrics is that
they make you myopic.
You work towards the metric, but the metrics can also cause micromanaging.
Mm-hmm. The metrics can cause you to micromanage. The metrics can cause you to stunt long-term vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have to blow labor for an entire period while you're investing the training in that next great shift lead who needs unadulterated time with you on the floor.
I've had those conversations with you. I've had those conversations with other managers. Why is your labor so high this week? Why is your productivity so off this week?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm training this person and this person and this person to be this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if that continues, then we're going to have a different kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But
okay, well, if you're doing that, then there just has to be guardrails, like you said, in place. Okay, well, if you're going to do that, what is the timeline for this person being promoted?
Yeah.
If you're going to take all of this week to train this person,
and I
know how long it takes to train a team trainer. It takes 2 weeks, and that's if you're dragging your feet.
Right.
If the person knows food and service, then it really shouldn't take any longer than 2 weeks to train that person to be a team trainer. So it's like, if you're going to blow it this week, okay, well then are we promoting them at the end of the next week? Should.
And if we're not, then we're going to have a different conversation.
Yeah. Right. So
yeah, I gave grace in KPIs, you know that,
mm-hmm.
but it wasn't infinite grace. It was, there was a timeline on it.
Yeah.
And then if by that timeline you didn't meet that goal, we had different conversations.
Yeah, but as long as that person has the autonomy to work within that timeline.
Yeah, I didn't come in then and say da 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 da.
Which is great for the A player. They like timelines.
Just make sure that by the end of the timeline, the person has this knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I'll use myself as an example. As I'm going over to this new store, God willing, I'll get promoted on the 13th to a market training manager. And then after that, the company knows that Hunter's an A player and that he wants to get into a district manager level. And so one thing that they've told me is that, hey, as long as this store is stable, the new store that you're going to, then you can begin your AC training. And I said, okay, that's vague. Define stable for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did. I'm like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Now I know what that looks like. I'll go get it.
Yeah.
Right?
And leave me alone and let me go get it.
Yeah. And then, and you want it done in what amount of time? Got it. Done. Right? But then it all comes back to what we kicked this episode off with, which is autonomy. Autonomy.
Oh, as a franchisee, and we talked about this a lot, micromanaging happens because franchisees have a fear of giving up control. And by extension, then so do DMs and senior DMs and COOs and DOs and, all of the people above that store manager level have a fear of giving up control.
And I think it also has to do with a lack of trust.
Right.
And then I think it also has to do with and then I think part of the reason why the work that you and I are doing, David, is so important is because we're literally slowly but surely shifting the paradigm. Because I think that's a self-fulfilling prophecy when somebody says, well, we have to micromanage because our people don't know how to manage themselves. It's like, you have to micromanage them because your systems require micromanagement.
Right.
Whereas if you just had more autonomy, yes, people will not live up to the expectations when you make that shift towards autonomy as opposed to micromanagement. But as you said, give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves. You will, over time, be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. And the people that you give autonomy to who take it and run with it will gladly pick up those other people's responsibilities as long as they get promoted for it. And that's the whole freaking game, is to promote your best people.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, to me, it's a pretty simple solution. Simple does not mean it's going to be easy, but hey, when is business ever?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the trust factor is there, but like I've said, I've said this before, we had more success. The more control I gave up, the more success we had.
If you want to have more control, have less.
Mm-hmm. And the easier the job became. The more control I gave up, the more success we had, and the easier my job became.
And the more that you'll find people coming to you praising about their own success, rather than you having to pull it out of them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. A horse that loves to race will beat a horse that feels compelled to every single time.
Sure.
Good place to end it?
Yeah, it's a great place to end it.
All right. Well, so yeah, there's probably going to be a few-part series here. 5-star ratings only. Share the show. That's David Taylor. You can follow him on LinkedIn. I'm Hunter Charneski. LinkedIn, Facebook is probably the platforms I'm most active on. Buy the book, The Way Out of Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. David's got a book coming out as well, and we will talk to you guys next time.